Morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for joining this morning. This is Vinney and Beau show. Some of you might know me, Vinney Chopra, and my partner, Beau Eckstein. And we come to you live at 9:30 Pacific, which is 12:30 Eastern, every Friday. Thanks for joining.
And I think, Vinney, honestly, we at some point we're going to start a affordable housing multifamily division underneath Monell Investments. I'll run the division.
Wow.
We'll have a nonprofit component, and we'll help.
Wow.
We could probably help this in a big way, really.
I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah.
It's been an exciting week. I hope it's been for you also. Beau, you have some questions, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of questions.
How are you, brother?
Good to see you, Vinney. Good to see you, Beau.
Oh, thank you. We are so privileged to have you.
Hey, Vinney, real quick.
Yeah, bud.
All right, I'll bet you sushi that you don't know what does SAS stand for?
Hi there, everybody joining us, watching us. We are live in 7 channels actually today in the YouTube, in LinkedIn, in Facebook groups and Facebook. Thanks again for liking the show. Please give comments, share, and we are here for a very big show today.
All right. Welcome. I got to do it like Vinney does it. Welcome. Anyways, welcome to the Vinney and Beau show every Friday morning at 9:30 a.m. And we're interviewing for a replacement for Vinney, and it's going to now be the Vinney and Jeff Holst show.
No, you mean the Beau and Jeff Holst show, right?
Yeah, the Beau Eckstein and Jeff.
Yeah. You know, last time I was on with the two of you guys, Vinney said, he said, we should do a Monday morning show. It'll be the Jeff and Vinney show. And I was like, Vinney, I don't know how you can do all these shows. And now we know the answer. He just doesn't show up.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, I apologize for Vinney, short notice, but he's in transit from Mexico. I think he took a kind of spur of the moment trip to Mexico. He wanted to go surfing and do a bunch of stuff. So he's in pursuit back to the States right now. But we have a very special guest, return guest for the show, and we got high reviews last time he was here. Please welcome Jeff Holst to the show. Jeff is a recovering attorney, a very successful real estate investor, someone I always look for advice in real estate. He's just a natural born communicator. Recently featured on Bigger Pockets. That was a fantastic episode. I'm sure people were reaching out from that show because they have such a big listenership, viewership. And we're going to talk today about Jeff's move to Puerto Rico. Why Puerto Rico, other than just the beach and lifestyle? We're going to talk about, how he's looking at the real estate market today. Is he, we're going to dig into, are you refinancing? Are you liquidating assets? What's kind of in his mind going forward with the war going on and inflation and coming out of COVID and still have COVID? It's been a crazy couple of years. A lot of people in real estate have been blessed with great value appreciation. So want to kind of dive into like, hey, what's the way to kind of insulate yourself from what's gonna or what could happen, and how do you position yourself for success? So please welcome to the show, Jeff. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. That's a lot of stuff to cover in a half hour. I hope we can get through that all.
Yeah, well, we don't have Vinney here, so I mean, I guess we might be able to dive into it. But so Jeff, like right now, how did you discover Puerto Rico? Like how did you run into Puerto Rico? And then what made you decide to like move there? And I know right now you're currently in Tennessee, but you're going to be spending a lot of your time, majority of your time in Puerto Rico. And just how did you find Puerto Rico? Like what encouraged you to kind of venture out there?
Well, actually, I went to Puerto Rico on my honeymoon. So the first time I was there was almost 19 years ago now. And we fell in love with it right away. I mean, we only spent a few days there. We did a cruise from there. So we flew to Puerto Rico, stayed a night, went on the cruise, came back, stayed a few nights after the cruise. And it was an amazing experience. For my wife, it was her first time really traveling anywhere outside of the continental U.S. And so we've gone back several times, mostly because it was a cheap flight. It's from Atlanta, direct flight. From Detroit, they have direct flights. From New York, they have direct flights. And so throughout the last 18 years or so, we've gone about once every year or two to Puerto Rico. The most recent time before this burst of activity the last few months has been was last year at this time. So last March, I went to Puerto Rico for a long weekend with a friend of mine, and we were meeting up with another couple of friends. One's the economist, Harry Dent, who's been living in Puerto Rico for a long time. We had lunch with him, and then we went and had coffee with this other real estate investor that I know who lives in Puerto Rico. And he was telling me how much he liked it there, and there's some tax advantages to living in Puerto Rico. So he was telling me about how that stuff worked, and I went, "Huh, I should move to Puerto Rico." And I literally walked out of that meeting, and I said to my partner Brian, who was there with me, I said, "I'm moving to Puerto Rico," and he's like, "No, you're not." And I'm like, "Yes, I am." And then I went home and I made this video for a YouTube channel that I started called Puerto Rico Life. And the very first video I made was, "Don't tell my wife I'm moving to Puerto Rico." Really kitschy thing like that. And then I sent it to her before I made it live so that she would be okay with it. And that was it. So we just decided on a spur of a moment to go because we loved it and because of the tax advantages. But then I realized I didn't pay tax because I'm a multifamily investor and I do a lot of cost segregations. So now I'm actually trying to stay under residency level of Puerto Rico. So you said at the beginning, I'll be there most of the time. The technical truth is I'm going to be there slightly less than half because I want to maintain my U.S. residency.
Got it. And that's great, right? Like, so a lot of people talk about Puerto Rico because of the tax advantages, which they definitely are. But here's just living proof that you don't necessarily need to relocate to do it, because if you take advantage of cost segregation and accelerate depreciation, you probably have a very low taxable consequence anyways. And you can keep deferring your taxes and do 1031 exchanges, and there's DSTs, there's all these advantages. So people don't need to relocate. Like, I relocated from California to Nevada, but there's no state tax here. But the reality of it is that if you have these write-offs, and you don't really need to relocate. You can do what you want to do. You really like the lifestyle of being able to live in Puerto Rico. And what I hear is that real estate has gotten you to be able to live that lifestyle. So with this market right now, are you liquidating, or are you cash out refinancing, or a combination of both? What's kind of the mindset here?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about that a lot, right? I mean, we all look really smart right now because we bought real estate a while ago and it went up, right? But I don't know if I trust that long term. So I really don't know. Some of the people I listen to and respect are predicting huge crashes in the real estate market. Other ones are predicting perpetual inflation that's going to cause the values and the rents to go up for practically forever. It could be any of those things or in between. So I'm trying to take a hedged approach. So getting rid of stuff that is challenging for me to manage, or for whatever reason I don't like. I mean, I'm a big fan of selling your problem properties in the super hot market like we have now. So if you've got something you don't like, and the thing is, it might even be fine for you. Like, if I owned a single family house in Nevada, it might be a pain in the rear end for me, but it might be great for Beau, right? So, so I'm gonna get rid of the stuff that's a pain point for me. Refinance the stuff that I know I want to keep for a long term, because I think rates will go up, and because values have gone up, we're able to capture some cash. And by putting cash on the sidelines, we're able to hedge against possible downturns in the market. One thing I've said for a long time is it's impossible to lose money in real estate if you have cash flowing assets and you don't have to sell or refinance. So long-term debt in place to the extent that you can, get the balloons that if you have any out as far as you can, and then put a little extra cash on the sidelines, because it does give you a cushion. One of the things I know, that I've heard spoken over and over again, and has been true for me, is that in the event of a recession, having cash is a really good strategy. So I want to keep some cash, but also because I think inflation is highly likely. I'm not liquidating the majority of my portfolio. I'm putting myself in a position to weather any downturn that might come, but capture most of the upsides that would come from inflation. So that's kind of the strategy right now. So it's kind of a combination of everything.
And most of your holdings are in like I know you're in Tennessee, so you have a big portion of your holdings in Tennessee, which happens to be a really fantastic market, right? There's a lot of growth. Is most of your holdings in Chattanooga
Yeah,
area?
so I would say about 2/3 of everything I own is within 40 or 50 miles of Chattanooga. So North Georgia, but right on the Tennessee Georgia border, Chattanooga or right around here. Another big chunk of it is actually in Southeast Michigan, like in Metro Detroit. Now we're selling, like I said, trying to get rid of problem stuff. Or stuff that potentially could be a problem. We're selling all of our smaller deals in Detroit, everything in the city limits, houses, things like that. But we're keeping the apartment complexes. We have, in fact, we're looking at refinancing a couple of the bigger deals there. Some of them have some prepayment penalties that make it not reasonable. So we're just going to keep those and leave them alone. But yeah, we have a few, probably about 150 units in Detroit still, and then the rest of it's here.
So what are your focus for 2022? It's like after you get through repositioning and selling some assets, where's your focus going to be? Are you still looking at deals right now? Or are you just kind of
Sure.
more?
Yeah, I mean, I was underwriting a deal right before we started the show. I'm being conservative, and I mean, prices are up, interest rates are up, which means cash flow is going to be down. I mean, if you have to pay more and pay more for the money, you're going to have less cash flow. And if there's a potential downturn, I think cash flow is going to be really important. I view cash flow as a measure of safety. It's nice, but it's cool to get what the mailbox money, but the real reason you want cash flow is it protects your assets over the long term. If you keep paying for them, eventually you're fine. So that's my theory on that. So anyway, the long and short of it is, at the moment, I'm trying to do strategic investments where appropriate. We're slowing back on value add stuff because we can't predict the future market with the same level of accuracy as we had. So it's got to have a really clear path to a higher value if we're going to buy something to renovate. I'm being a little bit more careful with flipping because I think, that's the smaller assets, single families, duplexes and stuff have more potential to drop in value, I think, than multifamily. And then the other thing I'm doing is I'm trying to do things that are really interesting to me. So I'm looking into creating a safari lodge in Tanzania. I'm looking at real estate in Puerto Rico, like some Airbnb short-term rental type stuff. So we'll do some of that kind of stuff too, just because I'm at a position in my life where I can do that. So I'm going to go do some fun things,
So what does an average day look like for you when you're in Puerto Rico?
Well, I mean, I wake up to this. I leave my blinds open, so I wake up at sunrise because the sun comes right into my bedroom, and it's about 6 in the morning most of the year because the days don't change in length that much. And then I walk out on the porch or the balcony. Actually, I'm on a 12th floor with a 2-mile white sand beach below me, so I can see the beach as far as I can look in both directions. And I sit out there and have a cup of coffee and go through my morning routine, all the stuff that I do every morning. And then I just sort of do what I do, like whatever I feel like. Like I've been going to real estate meetups. I've been trying to meet as many people as I can, trying to learn about the island, driving around, even just walking around my neighborhood and seeing what's going on. Because this is a learning curve. One of the things that I said, you mentioned the Bigger Pocket show. When I was on there, they asked me like for a tip that I think people often miss, and that is, I think that the trick to real estate investing is just making sure you really know your market. It's really easy to make money if you know more about the market than other people do, right? That's where you see opportunities that other people miss. And it mitigates your own personal risk. So I'm in the learning phase in Puerto Rico. So that's what I'm doing there. But I also I go scuba diving like almost every other week or so, snorkeling, swimming in the ocean, all that kind of fun stuff. I like to go down to Old San Juan once in a while and smoke a cigar. So that's about the extent of my life there in Puerto Rico.
What's the food like?
I mean, listen, Puerto Rican food is their main staples are like plantains and like beans and rice. So you get a lot of things like they have a mashed plantain dish called mofongo, which is really nice. And they'll mix like seafood or beef or pork or something in with it and season it with garlic, so it's savory instead of sweet. So it's not like a banana, kind of like you normally think of sweet plantains. They also make a lot of fried food. So you get like empadillas, which are like little mini empanadas, kind of. So you see a lot of that kind of stuff. And queso frito, which is just fried cheese. It's like a cheese, like a mozzarella stick, but without breading, right? It's just a chunk of like a square of cheese fried. So that stuff is like what like most people think of. But what I typically have been eating, because I'm trying to get healthier and not eat more fried food, right, is I've been eating a lot of ceviche and fresh fishes and things like that. And that's the great part about being by the ocean is you have all kinds of, especially in San Juan, because you have like 5-star dining and you have like Costco and IKEA and movie theaters and stuff. So it's like being in any major U.S. city, with the caveat that more people speak Spanish there than they do here, and I'm working on that too. That's the other thing I do. I try to practice my Spanish every day because my Spanish is very bad, and
Mine
I would
too.
like to learn it if I'm going to live in Puerto Rico.
Mine too. We should. So anyway, my wife is from Mexico, and she didn't speak English when I first met her, and so now it's like 2.5 years later. Well, I've known her for 3 years now, but we've been married for a little over 2 years. And all of her family just speaks Spanish. They don't speak English. A few of them speak a little bit of English. Some of them. So I found a really cool website, which I want to share with you. It's called
Sure.
baselang.com. Baselang.com. You can sign up for a monthly membership. And basically, you go on any day you want. You book a Zoom call, and I have teachers from all different countries: Cuba, Mexico, Costa
Nice.
Rica, and
Yeah.
you have curricula. I enjoy it.
I'll check it out for sure. I was using italki, which is similar, right? Italki.com. It's just the letter I and then talk and then the letter I, right? So it's italk I. And same thing. It's tutors from all around the world, and you just pay and this is an hour. Like you basically just book with a tutor and you pay them their rate, whatever it is. But you get these people that live in areas where they're willing to tutor you for $5 an hour, and they're happy about it. And of course, you're happy because it's super cheap. And you meet some really interesting people that way too, right? So you get to talk to people in different countries. And I had a Puerto Rican tutor on there for a while, and I found that I actually preferred to have some Southern American teachers because I thought they were their Spanish is a little cleaner. Puerto Rican Spanish is it's a bit choppy, and it's a little bit harder to understand, and it's not quite classic Spanish. So I'm trying to learn Spanish one way and then speak it in Puerto Rico, right? So like I'm trying to like mix it up a little bit so I can learn classical Spanish and then still speak to Puerto Rican folk.
One thing about you, Jeff, too, that I've realized that you do really, really well is first of all, you're a great connector and a great communicator, and you like people. In general, you like people. So I just see you as like you're like a master connector networker, and I think that's probably helped your business tremendous. Like you're so good at it. You put yourself out there, and you're constantly talking to people, right, and building relationships. And how has that helped your real estate business grow? Because you're really good at it. And I know you just enjoy it in general, but I'm sure that you've gotten huge results just the way you are and the way you treat people.
Yeah, so I mean, actually, just did a presentation on this for a group where I thought about this a lot. So the thing is, I think if you live authentically in your own truth, it helps a lot, right? So the first thing you want is you want people to there's that know, like, and trust you thing. Well, like people can't know you if you don't know yourself. So you really got to do the hard work to really get yourself centered on what's important to you, and then you need to live in those values. If you do that, then it becomes really easy to attract people to your business, to your networks. Because for me, at least, my values are I want to see possibility in everyone. That's one of the things I think about a lot is that everyone has more potential, including myself, than we use. And so I want to always be looking for possibilities in everyone that I meet at all times. And then the other core value of mine is I think a lot about about how, like, good and bad stuff happen to everyone all the time, and some things are challenging, but we need to reframe the stuff that's quote unquote bad, right, into opportunities, into learning opportunities, into just opportunities to solve it. Because if you can solve other people's problems, the world rewards you greatly for that. So I spend a lot of time figuring out that stuff first. And then, yeah, I mean, it's super beneficial, right? Like, I love to go to a network meeting and I want to stand out from the crowd. And I think the way you stand out is you have to have some kind of internal branding. You have to be known for something. So that's my no bad days thing. And then at a real estate event, it's the old fashioned stuff, right? So for people that don't know, I have a YouTube show called Old Fashioned Real Estate, where we just drink bourbon old fashions and talk about real estate. We had Vinney on once. I feel I should have invited you, Beau. I apologize for that. So I'll have to figure out how to make that happen. But yeah, I mean, we just sit around and, it wasn't because we wanted to get drunk and talk about real estate, right? It was because we wanted something that when we met people, they would remember us. So it's about being, if you're living authentically and then you have some kind of like hook that people remember you about you, right? Like Beau knows lending, right? Like, I'm never going to forget that. Like, it's smart. I mean, I remember Beau, and like, even when I first met you, I knew what you did, right? And so for me, it was like, maybe I shouldn't have picked drinking, right? But like, it was like, hey, those are those old fashioned guys. Those guys, they're the ones that get on YouTube and talk about real estate, right? And that's what I just done. Like, and throughout my whole business, really through my whole life, is just really lean into the stuff that I'm passionate about, because that's going to attract the right people to you. And it's not, you don't want every customer, you don't want every investor, you don't want every friend. You want the people that are aligned with your own personal values anyway. So if you lean into that stuff, then those people are going to resonate with you.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Who do you like? Who do you like to follow? And it doesn't have to be in real estate, but maybe any real estate people you follow. You like the kind of what they put out there, advice wise, and also
Sure.
in the personal development space.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm kind of eclectic on this. I read a lot of books, and I listen to a lot of books as well on Audible and stuff. So I mean, I do outside of the real estate space. I really like to hear stories of adventure or adopting to new cultures. That's a big thing for me. So this Puerto Rico thing is really about living out that sort of fantasy that I've been studying for years by reading about people that have moved to islands in the South Pacific, or like, even like, I climbed Kilimanjaro a few years ago, in 2020, right before the COVID pandemic. And, that was a function of, I read about Michael Crichton climbing Kilimanjaro when I was a kid, and it just stuck in my head as something cool to do. So like, on one hand, for like experiential stuff, I'm pretty eclectic on it, but it's going to sound like I'm being patronizing, but I really like following Vinney, to be honest with you, because his infectious positivity is just amazing. And that's how I aspire to be. So, his book, Positivity Makes Profitability, is like one of my favorites of the last few years, actually. So you can tell him I said that if he's not watching. But if you're watching, Vinney, hey, it's good seeing you again. No, but I mean, so I really like that. But I mean, I jump around a bit. Like, I have a lot of people in the real estate world that I follow, right? I mean, a lot of the bigger pockets people are really interesting. I mean, I like to hear their different strategies and stuff. So, and I've been fortunate to become friends with a lot of these people, right? Like, I mean, Vinney, like, I mean, I don't talk to him every day, but like, if he wants to call me, he's got my cell phone number, and vice versa, and that stuff, having those people in your life makes a big difference, because you can pick up the phone and say, hey, what would you do in this situation? And then those people do that to me too. And that's been amazing. So that's been my main goal, is just like take a little bit from a lot of different people, because there's no right way to do any of this stuff.
Now, do you enjoy like mentoring kind of up and coming real estate people?
Yeah,
sometimes?
I mean, I do. So people locally in Chattanooga, I mean, of course, this has gotten a little bit difficult because I've been in Puerto Rico so much lately. There's several people that I sort of regularly have like a breakfast or a coffee with or something. And then, I really like that. But what I've really found beneficial actually is a more formal coaching relationship. I'm very limited and selective about who I even take on for that. But I've loved it because the people that hire me for that, they take it so seriously, and we make such a huge difference in such a short amount of time. It's just kind of amazing. So that's something I've been doing lately. Just I would almost do it for free. Don't tell my coaching students that, but I don't, because I know that they have to take it seriously. And I know, it's like if you ever go into a RIA meeting and, you see the same person, 3 years later is talking about how they want to get started in real estate sometime. I have an unlimited number of people that would go out to breakfast with me to talk about how someday they want to start in real estate. I can't bring any value to them. Other than to tell them, go get started in real estate, right? Like, so what I'm really focused on are people that have, they've done that, they've started a little bit and they want to transition to bigger deals, and they want to see a clear path to that. And those people will take you really seriously, and it's been amazing. I mean, it's been such a great experience for me.
Yeah, no, you seem like you'd be like that you're that guy at the RIA that everybody, you're willing to help, right? But you're right. There's so many people that come to meetings and they just they never take action. And like, you only have time to deal with certain people that want to take action and kind of.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not because I don't want to help everyone. I literally do, which is why we have a show where people can watch for free and get real estate advice, right? Like, we have a playlist on our YouTube channel, how to get started in real estate. But like, when people come to me now, if they've not done any real estate and they're just like, maybe they're excited about the prospect, I will meet with them once. And then I'll say, hey, listen, why don't you go watch these episodes? And once you've watched all of them, then I'll give them the list. And I'll say, when you watch them all, reach back out to me. And if you have any questions, we'll talk about it. Because at least then they're showing a level of commitment. Because if you don't do anything, like, then you're wasting your time. But you're also wasting my time. And I would rather spend that time on someone who's going to actually be making progress.
Yeah, that's good. That's really cool. So we're kind of wrapping up our 30-minute Vinney and Beau show, or Beau and Jeff show. Well,
if Vinney doesn't come back from Mexico, I'm probably not going to co-host with you. No offense. Yeah. I just, like, I have to say no to, like, people that want my time for that. I'd have to say no to, like, having a regular show every single week. Yeah. I did that for a while with my Last Life Ever show, and now we're doing batch recordings and not doing a live show, because it's a lot to have to schedule a time every single week.
I know it is, but I do it selfishly because Vinney's always so happy.
Yeah. I mean, see, and that's what I'm thinking. Like, if you decide to go to Mexico and not come back, maybe I'll take Vinney up on co-hosting with him.
Yeah.
How's that for being rude? I'm giving a nice compliment to Vinney and single-handedly, like, attacking my interviewer.
You're cutting me off there, but no, it's true. Like, it's something about being around somebody that's just like that resonates positivity. He gets me for whatever reason, and he does this for a lot of people. Just his energy, he's just he's a ball of energy, and we all need those kind of people in your life.
Yeah,
there's different people.
Well, but that's what I was saying earlier, right? About the like, getting your head right. Like, if you get to that really positive space like that, people are gonna just be attracted to you. They're gonna say things like, you're so full of energy, or like, you're just such a good person, right? Like, it's not that I'm, like, objectively better than anyone else, because I'm clearly not. But because I have this belief that I don't have bad days, right? And I haven't had a bad day in a really long time. It makes me just ridiculously happy all the time. And some people are turned off by that, but a lot of people are attracted to it.
It's cool. Oh, sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what's cool is, like, you've been on our show, the Vinney and Beau show, twice, and you've been on Vinney's podcast, and he's been on your show, and you and I've connected on Clubhouse several times, and we've talked a lot, and we've never even met in person. But it just goes to show, like, how relationships are built, right? And, like, you got to think about planting seeds, right? Because if I ever need help on a deal, like, hey, I feel a little intimidated, I'm buying this 30-unit property, you're the one I'm going to talk to, not a Vinney, because Vinney's doing these big, like, $50 million deals.
And
but
that's how I feel about Vinney, right? Like, if I'm ever going to buy a 200-unit property, I'm calling Vinney, right? Because I don't do those deals. I do the 30, 40-unit deals.
Yeah, but you're doing what I want to do, because I don't want to go out and have to do these huge syndications, and I just want to keep it KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Like, that's my evolution from buying these duplexes that I'm buying. I like buying duplexes. I just bought one
Yeah, I bought two in the last couple of months. Listen, the thing about it is, and you know, I know you got to wrap up here a second, but one thing I always tell people is like it's really easy to see somebody like Vinney and be like, oh, he's got thousands of units, and like, you know, he's got all these like assisted living things and all the great stuff he's doing, right? It's easy to look at somebody like that and be like, oh, I can never get there. And maybe that's true. Maybe, you know, Beau and Jeff will never have thousands of units. Maybe we will, right? Maybe we don't even want that in our life, right? But if you have 2 units, you're already so far ahead of the average real estate investor, because the most real estate investors have 0 units and they just want to invest in real estate. The next biggest category have like they inherited a house or they moved to their new house and didn't sell their old house because they became an accidental landlord, right? Like the number of real estate investors that have 10 units is, as a percentage, is ridiculously low, right? Like there's just not, like, even people that have 3 or 4 units are like way ahead of the average American investor, right? So you can't feel bad about it. You just keep doing what you're doing. If it works for you, you do it. And then you want to grow, you grow.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm buying a 4-plex and closing on that too this end of the month. I'm looking to buy at least 10 or 12 duplexes or 4-plexes this year is kind of
Awesome.
what I'm going to do, and kind of follow your path. And I want to spend time in Mexico now that I have a family there, and I love the culture. I love the food.
I love Mexico. It's an amazing place.
Yeah.
I picked Puerto Rico because there's a lot of really interesting things happening with the tax advantages, and I just want to be in this like chaotic bubble up world where it's a lot of exciting crypto people and stuff. But Mexico is high on the list. I mean, it's an amazing place.
Yeah. Well, we can practice our Spanish together.
Yeah,
And,
well, you can come visit me in Puerto Rico, and then I'll come visit you in Mexico, and then we'll learn a little Spanish, and it'll be good. Then then we won't be able to say we never met in person again.
I know. We're gonna meet this year. I have a feeling it's gonna.
Yeah, well, we would have already. In fairness, right? COVID happened and shut down all the events that we would both have been going to. So
That's true. Well, Jeff, you have been an excellent guest. I'm sorry Vinney didn't kind of give us some energy today, but I think I was able to kind of dive in and get a good story from you and like an overview and how you're able to kind of grow and live your life, right? Like your Facebook group's amazing. I see your posts in there. Your Puerto Rican YouTube channel. That's
I got way too much stuff. So the quick version, right? Last life ever, Facebook group, old fashioned real estate, Puerto Rico life. That's it. Those are the keys.
I'm a YouTuber, so I like your YouTube channel the best because I do the most marketing for myself on my YouTube channel.
Your YouTube is way better than mine, just to be clear. All I do is I sit in front of the camera and go, I love being in Puerto Rico. It's amazing. Like I got to do all these cool things, and I don't even show video. I mean, I don't edit anything. Like your stuff is all like polished and cool. Yeah, I got to learn from you. I need to go to Mexico just to hang out with you and learn how you do YouTube.
Well, you should. Much better. Yeah, no, I'd like to see videos with you, even with your iPhone, where you're going to local restaurants, you're drinking, and then I want the show to evolve for you, where you're interviewing these 20-year-old crypto guys that live in Puerto Rico, and
no, that's gonna happen. I'm gonna do that.
That's gonna be freaking awesome.
That's the main goal of the channel, and channel's been growing reasonably well for something that I've never really put any serious energy into. So
people are interested. We're in a world now where you could be in front of your laptop and communicate to the masses and interact. And although it's not as good as in person, I feel like it's good because I could be talking to you in Puerto Rico, and then I could be talking to somebody in Pennsylvania, and I could be talking to somebody in Michigan. And my day now I have never spent so much time communicating.
I know, it's crazy, right? Yeah. Like we see less people in person, but we meet more people. It's been really cool. I mean, I really like this stuff. Like, I mean, I prefer to do live in-person stuff, but I really do like this, Zoom conversations. I've been on a lot more shows in the last 2 years than ever before because of that too. Yeah,
and it's cool. People get to know you, like you, and I get a lot of business from people hearing my podcast, and that's cool. Like, people, the great thing about video is that people they'll call me or book a call, and it's like they know me, And
No, it's so weird, isn't it?
yeah, I like it though, because
No, I like it too. So I know we're like already over,
oh, it
so I
does, yeah,
apologize.
it doesn't matter at all. We
Yeah,
can
okay,
keep
cool.
going.
Well, I'm not in a super rush either, so that works out good for us. So I walk into this airport lounge in San Juan a couple weeks ago, and I see this other YouTuber that I know there, right? I've never met her, right? I follow her channel. It's great. It's called Mariah Monetize, and she's like a Bitcoin and Puerto Rico centric YouTube channel, right? So she's always talking about Ethereum and Bitcoin and then Puerto Rico. And I love her stuff because those are the people I'm there to meet, right? I want to meet people that are living in Puerto Rico, and they're crypto people or real estate investors and stuff. So I walk into there and I see her and I go, oh, wow, that's cool. That's Mariah. And I recognize her. And then she looks at me and she goes, are you Jeffrey? And I was like, this is so weird. And we're like chatting about stuff that like each other have done. Like, I'm like, oh, it was so cool. You went to Mexico, like did this stuff. And she's like, yeah. And I saw you were like in ring. I mean, it was like the weirdest like conversation because we both felt like we knew each other, even though we'd never met or even talked before. And it was awesome. It was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think like big takeaway from this conversation today is get out there and communicate with people. And it's so easy nowadays to send a message on Facebook or Instagram or put a comment on somebody's YouTube channel. I don't know. I think that
that's how I met most of the people I know, right? In the Facebook, YouTube, Instagram world is they either messaged me or I messaged them. Like, I met Vinney through Jillian, who's my partner in Last Life Ever. But I met her because I sent her a message on Facebook, right? Like, or whatever. I mean, I was at an event and I talked to her. I just walked up to her and talked to her. And I've met so many great people that way. Like I met you, the same way. Like, we were just introduced over Facebook Messenger or whatever. And you just start meeting all these people, and then you don't know who reaching out to you might end up being someone you do business with in the future, or you learn something really valuable from.
Yeah, that's true. I'm listening to Kevin Fariza, Never Eat Alone. It's a great book. Great book.
Yeah. I haven't read it, but I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, and it's so true. And so imagine if we actually thought about, this is just happening naturally, but imagine if somebody actually executed some kind of strategy to reach out and build relationships. I think it's such an untapped way to grow a business in one way or other, whether you're looking for investors for your deals. I mean, we don't do it for like, hey, I'm reaching out to this person for this reason. It's more of a natural connection.
Yeah.
But I think if you learn how to naturally connect to people and you're not like trying to just connect to Jeff because I want to refinance his 30-unit building, right? I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm doing it for the relationship. And if that relationship Jeff might refer me some people to talk to about financing, or maybe eventually.
And I have, in fact.
You
right? So I don't know if you got any business from them, but I have.
And that's how the world works.
And that's the thing. Like, if you reach out to someone with your whole purpose is just, what can I get from this person? Then you're not living. That's what I was saying earlier about living authentically. Like, I'm leaning into, I want to help people. Period. Like, that's my goal. Like, I want to see how I can help you. And if I can help Beau, then Beau's going to help me later, or someone else is going to see that I helped them, and it's going to come back to me. I mean, I'm not a believer in like the classical karma definition, but I do believe, like, in general, if you just put good stuff out in the world, it does kind of bounce back to you. And that's how I want to live my life. And, honestly, even if it didn't, I still want to put good stuff out in the world.
Yeah. I think when you're in your 40s, maybe even in your 30s, even your 20s, but like for me right now, in my 40s, I'm like really starting to say, okay, internally, what do we need to fix or improve, not fix, improve, right? Because everybody's wired a little bit differently. And like, I want to figure out, what do I need to fix inside to really live the life I want to live, right? Because we all have these kind of, and my next step is to become 100% financially independent, right? Where this reoccurring revenue, which I do pretty much very minimal, my property managers handle everything, just sets me free where I can then kind of be more of a creative. Because at heart, I think I'm a creative. I'm a marketer. I'm a promoter type of personality. I'm not a behind the desk, like get your loan done kind of guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do it and I'm good at it, but that's really the next evolution of Beau. And so I don't know if that's hiring a coach or what, but that's where I'm at right now. And I think we have to look at ourselves and internalize and figure that out.
Yeah, well, hiring a coach is great, and I mean, this is not a pitch for you to hire me because I'm not your right coach anyway for that kind of stuff, right? But like for me, hiring a coach was a game changer, and I mean, I 100% know that I'm in a way better place. Puerto Rico is a perfect example of that. I came home from that trip, and I told my coach that I was thinking I wanted to move to Puerto Rico. At the beginning of the year, I told him sometime in the next 5 years, I want to move somewhere in the Caribbean. Right. And then like within months of having my coach, right? Like I was seriously considering living to Puerto Rico. And then within a few months after that, I had a place in Puerto Rico. Right. Like, and I mean, it's not that like that one goal is the point, but it's the clarity that allowed me to be able to make those decisions. Like it sounds kind of goofy when you're like, oh, I had a conversation with someone and walked out and decided I was moving to Puerto Rico. But the reason I was able to do that is I knew enough about myself because I had really dug in and done that hard work. Stuff that I didn't even know I needed to do, right? Like I think improving yourself is like, there's a saying that says that integrity is like a mountain with no top. Like as soon as you get to where you think the top is, you see something else and you have to go work on that. I think the same is true with yourself, right? Like you think you're doing pretty well. And then when you get to the point where you think, hey, if I just get this one thing fixed, then everything's going to be great in my life. And you get to that, and then you see one more thing you need to fix, and you just keep working on it. And that's the point of life. Just keep getting better. Just keep getting better.
Yeah, because it's really not a money thing. I mean, if financial stress is a brutal. Like if you're living
Yeah, it's terrible if you're really poor.
Yeah, if you live paycheck to paycheck and something happens and you don't have any money in your bank, that's like the worst feeling, right?
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, and you know enough about my story to know that I went through personal bankruptcy in 2010, and I was a bankruptcy attorney, so I've seen both sides of that. It's terrible. It's not fun at all. You get feelings of failure. You get feelings of stress, like what am I going to do? How am I going to pay my bills? Where am I going to sleep? You know, all that kind of stuff is terrible. So yes, having some resources helps tremendously.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's not about money. It's about living in your own truth, you know, whatever that is, living the best possible. We always say that the best possible version of your last life ever. You know, we get this one shot, like we got to do the best version of it.
And you know what I love about right now, our era right now, is that I love seeing these new business models. You know, for example, like Toro. I had a guy call me. He was scaling up a Toro business of
Awesome.
renting out Teslas, and he's making 20, 30 grand a month. Another guy buys RVs and he's renting them out on RV Easy, and he's make that one RV's cash flowing him $4 grand a month. You know, it's amazing. You can have all these multiple streams of income, and I love seeing that creativity that's out there. Like, because you can literally finance 100% of this RV, and if you do it right, you can make $3-4 grand a month. Maybe more.
It's crazy how much opportunity we have right now, but it still requires you to like be studying and learning and all that stuff. So, but yeah, it's great. And you know, Beau, listen, I mean, I think we're going to do something together soon, and for sure we're going to meet in person. So, I appreciate you having me on the show, though.
Yeah. This was almost like let's catch up, but anyway, I know it brought value to anybody who's going to watch it now or watching it now, who's going to watch in the future. Because listen, the life and real estate go hand in hand. It's really, you know, I don't per se say I'm in love with real estate, but I'm in love with the network of people. I love the people involved, like the other real estate investors. It's a true tribe. Like if you go to these events, like we probably know how to structure a subject to deal or a lease option or create a finance deal. I mean, obviously there's all new techniques that always come out and little tweaks, but
Sure.
Really we go to events for the networking and the people. That's what really keeps me excited about life. Is like, it's not really, hey, I'm going to learn all this cool stuff, but it's really like the tribe of people you meet in the entrepreneurial space.
It's unbelievable. And like every event I've ever gone to, I've learned something, but the real takeaway values have been the people I've met and the relationships I've built. You know, like I said, like I know that if I hadn't started going to events a few years ago, I wouldn't know you right now. I can trace a direct line back to the people that I met that introduced me to the people that introduced me to Beau. Like I know that for sure.
Yeah.
And yes, it's about forming relationships, but like it's also about putting yourself in an environment where you're meeting the right people.
Yeah, and that's how I met Vinney 5 years back at a real estate event in Oakland. And who's this guy? Who's this older Indian gentleman? And I ended up we just kind of hit it off. I said, hey, let me buy you lunch, and then boom, we've been friends ever since.
Yeah.
It's just the way all this works. And then I introduced him to some of my colleagues, friends, and then like the networks just keep growing and growing and growing.
And in fact, he introduced me to you, right? So I mean, that's what happens. I mean, you meet people, and like I said, I met Vinney through Jillian, but actually met Vinney once at a real estate networking event. I'm sure he doesn't remember, but I was like, oh my, it's Vinney Chopra, like I was like really excited about it. Before I was a big deal. Not that I'm a big deal at all, just to be clear. But before, when I didn't even have I think we had the real estate show, but we had just started it, and no one had even heard of us. And not that anyone's really heard of us now, but now it makes sense for, people do recognize me occasionally. But back then, no one knew who I was. So Vinney didn't know who I was, but I knew who he was, and I thought he was great then. And then like flash forward a few years, and we're friends. So it's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's the power of real estate, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this special edition of the Vinney and Beau show, or the Beau and Jeff show, which I think was a hit. I actually got to kind of host the show because Vinney kind of steals the show sometimes. So it was kind of good to get some questions that I wanted to ask in today.
Well, if we do this again, I'm hosting. I'm gonna ask you questions the next time we do the Beau and Jeff show.
That would be great. Anyways, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.
I hope you're having a sunny morning wherever you are. We are in the Bay Area. I think temperature is 72 degrees. It's going to be today. And I know you're ready for Vinney and Beau show, just like we come every week.
Another Friday in the books. I wasn't much of a runner, but now I started running at the gym because I'm like a little short guy with a lot of muscle, so it's hard to run.
We are Vinney and Beau show coming live to you from San Francisco, the great